Hello everybody, welcome to a Facebook Live with Jeannie. I am Jeannie Nielsen, the card lady, and I am so excited to be here with you today. Today was a tough day to come up with a good idea. Luckily, my in-laws, my husband's parents, Bob's parents, are celebrating an anniversary this week. It's going to be 60 years for them. Wow. But that reminded me that it's also a time for weddings. It's a time for engagements, bridal showers, all kinds of fun celebrations like that. So today's cards feature the Inked Botanicals designer paper and the Nature's Prints stamp set. And I made these all into wedding cards. They could be engagement cards, they could be anniversary cards, they could be bridal shower cards, they could be anything you want. But for every single one of them, I used the sentiment, best wishes, and happy thoughts. And I had a great time designing these cards once I came up with my idea. So let's slip down and start our card class. This card class is 4 cards. And like I said, it features the Inked Botanicals designer paper. Beautiful designer paper. I'll show it to you a little bit when we get down. I focused just on a couple of different patterns. And like I said, they're perfect for weddings, they're perfect for engagements, you name it. So I'm going to flip the camera up and then down, and we're going to start our card class. Let's see. Sorry about that. I want to be over top. There we go. Love it. Okay, hopefully. I'm going to move that up so you guys can see me at my work. And let's put glasses on and let's get going. So this is the beautiful Inked Botanicals designer paper. I have to tell you, it's grown on me. It's grown on me a lot, but it's all ferny, flowery, different designs, perfect for nature. And they're inked, hence the name Inked Botanical, right? I decided, rather than using the botanical stamp set, that I wanted to use Nature's Prints. Let me make sure I'm in camera there. There we go. I used Nature's Prints, and I specifically used this one sentiment, best wishes and happy thoughts. And I'm going to show you all 4 cards. I embossed just about all of them with this fern embossing folder. And what's fun about this is that I thought it was retired. So it's really cool that I found out that it's not, and we can still use it for another year because it really blended in very nicely with the patterns. You want to see the cards? I bet you do. So let's show you the cards. I made 4 cards. Let me show you card number 1. This is card number 1. Best wishes and happy thoughts, like I said. This is one of the dies in Nature's Prints. So let me show you. There you've got all these, you've got the these plants, these ferns, this ferny flower. I love this sentiments though, and I love the font of the sentiment. I love that it's mixed, that it's both a wispy, italic-y, scripty font, and it's also straight, and that just makes it that much more interesting. So that's why I decided to use this, and because June is weddings, I stuck to the theme. All of these cards use the same stamp. They use the same one that says best wishes and happy thoughts. This is the Inked Botanicals paper. Don't you just love this pattern? Actually, I'm going to show you all 4 cards real quick, and then it'll make you want to see all the cards that we're going to do. Let's see. Here is card number 2. I used the textured shimmer paper, the white textured shimmer paper, to make this beautiful wreath. This is also one of the dies that's in the stamp set. I love that. And then I chose to use white organdy ribbon with all of my cards, which is why next week's card class is going to be a product-based class. You are going to get a whole package of this Inked Botanicals designer paper, which is on sale this month. And you're also going to get a roll of this ribbon. For $30, you're going to get all this. And everything cut and scored and ready for you. I have to admit, I don't know if Judy is watching or not, but I was watching her Facebook Live earlier today, and she used this fun fold, and I decided that I needed to adopt it. Isn't that just beautiful? I don't know if you can see it or not, totally. I'm going to show you how to make this fun fold. I used 2 different patterns of the designer paper for that. So far I've stuck to the greens, the Lost Lagoon, the Pretty Peacock. Those are pretty much the colors. But my last card actually is Pool Party. Once again, I used the same die, the wreath die. I used one of the new Nested Essentials dies for my sentiment here because I didn't want to completely cover up the paper, and I did want to use the font, something different besides that. So this is the Nested Essentials dies. If you don't have them yet, I am telling you, you're going to want them. It's the perfect die for so many sentiments. There's one that looks like a banner. There's one that looks like this tailored tag. I don't know if you remember the tailored tag punch. This is a little bit longer and narrower, but it's perfect. And there's 3 different sizes of that. And then there's another die, which just is essentially a rectangle with rounded edges in 3 different sizes. So you're going to want that. Put it on your wish list. Might as well do it now. Let's get going on the card class. It's not that hard to do. I did a lot of prep work ahead. There's a little bit of cutting that I have to do. There's a little bit of die cutting. I've done all the embossing though. I'm going to put these all back on top of their respective cards so that I make sure I'm doing the right kit. I have everything here. It really doesn't use a whole lot more than just the Lost Lagoon ink and the Memento ink. So I've got that ready to go. Let's get going. Okay, so first we have here our Lost Lagoon cardstock. 5.5 by 8.5. I scored it at 4 1/4, just like we always do. And then you're going to recognize, well, I don't know if you will, maybe you won't. What I did was a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of basic white, and then I have a 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches piece of Lost Lagoon, and I embossed that with the Fern embossing folder. So 3 3/4 by 5 on top of 4 by 5 1/4, and what I'm going to do is attach that. I like to use glue, especially when I use my embossed pieces of cardstock, because if you do end up doing it with seal, sometimes it doesn't get in all those little crevices. So that's why I do that. I'm going to attach this here. I'm trying to think. I can't remember. Yes, I'm going to attach this here. I ended up putting the ribbon, the white glittered organdy ribbon, which is one of the things that you get as part of this class when you come to the card class here at my studio, my lamp. I call it Genie's lamp because, of course, I am a genie. Magical cards, magic happens here, hence the lamp. Okay, I've already cut my Pretty Peacock designer paper. Nope, Pretty Peacock cardstock. I have to look at this. I think, okay, it's 3 1/4 by 4 1/2 is the size of the cardstock. This is my matte layer for my designer paper. I like to use only a 3-inch piece of the designer paper because then I'm getting 2 cards out of each sheet. So this is 3 inches. So I'm going to cut it right down the middle. And then I cut it, this is 4 1/4 inches, I believe. Yes, 4 1/4. So that's a common size that I normally use. I usually have a difference of about 1 1/4 inches when I'm doing my designer paper versus my matte. So if my width is 3 inches, then I added about 1 1/4 inches to that. And that is my measurement for my height or length, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so I have my basic, no, I have here, I'm sorry, I don't have my basic white. This is the glittered organdy ribbon. Sorry, I'm going to say a lot of ums because I can't multitask. I'm either going to be thinking about what I'm saying or I'm going to be doing. So what I want to do is tie this into a bow. So I'm just going to tie this into a quick bow. I always leave one length attached to my roll of ribbon so that I can adjust it and not waste too much ribbon if possible. And this is going to be nice and thick. Perfect. Okay, so let me cut this with my snips. I was reading a tip from somebody and she said, if you want to have your snips used as ribbon scissors, then you need to mark them as such and only use them for ribbon, and make sure that that's all everybody else uses for ribbon too. Okay, so I'm going to put this right there in the middle. You can see that there we go, right there in the middle, just like that. And what I'm going to do next, before I continue, is actually stamp my sentiment. Now I have to tell you, I have to admit this is terrible, but I had cling adhesive on the back of this stamp. And for some reason, I don't know if it's because I hadn't used it for a while, but for whatever reason, my cling adhesive came off, which meant it also took off a layer of the backing, the rubber, not the red rubber, but the backing. So I ended up, hopefully I didn't undo it too much, I ended up attaching it, putting some double-sided tape on there. That's the only way I could get it to stick. I will probably purchase some cling adhesive in the very near future and try to remount it. But for now, don't you love my new In Color grid paper? I love it so much that I'm not going to make it dirty. So even though I could stamp on here, I'm going to stamp on my scrap paper. I'm using Tuxedo Black Memento ink, and I'm going to, I'd say that I'm going to trust the block, but I really am going to look at the line of the stamp because I know the line of the stamp is pretty close to in line with what I want. So let's see if I can get this right. I don't want to rock it. I want to hold it steady for a second. And there we go. Best wishes and happy thoughts. Card number 1, safely and securely stamped. The stamp hasn't come off yet. What I'm going to do next is, I didn't attach this. I was thinking that I could pop up this layer, but if I pop up this layer, I want to get this so that it's, there we go. Now it's going to sit nice and flat. If I pop up this layer, then I can't pop up my sentiment. And the reason I don't want to do that is because that's just too many layers that I'm doing in the mail. And you know what? I just realized again, I don't want it quite that high. So let's move it down. Let's inch it down a tiny bit. There we go. There we go. And what I'm going to do is attach it here to my card. I'm going to center it on my emboss layer. I love my glue. I think I've said that over and over again. Do you guys have a favorite adhesive? I always use multi-purpose glue. And then I don't know if I showed you this last week or not. I think I did. My friend Kathy gave me these blocks, which are going to be perfect for holding it in place to make sure that it stays put while it's drying. I'm going to set this aside for a second because I do have one more thing of stamping that I have to do. I have to stamp my little fern. And, oh, I should show you. I know there are ferns on here, and they're beautiful. They're beautiful ferns, but I don't like the stamp. The stamp that's part of Nature's Prints, I really don't care for. It is just a little bit too long, and I don't know. If it had a longer stem, maybe it would be perfect. But I'm going to use my flowery ferny flower here. Whatever that is, a flowery ferny flower. Does that sound like something official? It looks almost like a wheat or, I don't know, mustard or who knows. But we're going to stamp it in Lost Lagoon. Oh my goodness, boy, do you see how much ink I put on there? This is a wet pad. I don't really use that or need that much ink. So I'm going to make sure I don't rock it. I'm just going to stamp like that. There we go. It is going to dry a little bit lighter. I'm going to clean this before I get it all over everything. My goodness. What a mess, what a mess. I will probably try to remove some of that ink before class because I don't want everybody to get it all over their projects. So I have my metal bowl here, and it has the matching die. It has a beautiful matching die that I am going to die cut this image out with. Let me get, sorry, I don't want to get ink all over my hands, but I think it's going to happen. Let me just close that for a second. And let me pull out my Boho Blue Mini Boss. I think you can actually get this as an online exclusive, even if you're not a demonstrator. I think that you're going to want to sign up and be a demonstrator, though, because there are some great deals right now. We can do an online promotion. There's a Christmas in July is going to be perfect with this new stamp. It's called Sleigh Ride, I believe. And it's going to be really, really beautiful. And there's even, I should tell you, there's even a punch. And this punch is like a pickup truck. It looks like one of the Christmas pickup trucks. And I predict that it's going to sell out very quickly. But the best reason to sign up is to get your 20% discount. Don't give the money to me. Why don't you take your own coupon and sign up for my team? I have a great team. We're called the Paper Crafting Genies. Sorry, I can't multitask. I'm going to take a Post-it note and try to hold this steady real quick and run it through. So that's what I'm doing behind the scenes while I'm shaking the table. I'm cutting out my image. I think there's, is this the only image? I have one more image I have to cut out for you guys later. Let me put this off to the side though. Oh, before I flip down, I don't know if you noticed, but I have this little lemonade jar with these sunglasses. I have a cool summer promotion going on right now called Summer Scoops. And I've done this every year. Last year and the year before, I gave away a mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. This year, we are going to give away the, oh my goodness, this is sticky Post-it. This year, we're going to give away a whole set of the new core stamping colors, the ink colors, the ink pads, a whole bunch. So there's 11 in that. So that's what you're going to win. There will be details on my Facebook page later, but where is everything that I need? Oh, it's, it's under the glue, of course. So here we have, what I'm going to do is here, take some mini dimensionals. Mini dimensionals are perfect for this one. I could practically do a full one, but we're going to do minis because I've got them right here. And then I don't have to worry about it showing outside. You probably can't really see me adding my dimensionals, but you guys all know how to add dimensionals, right? I don't always take off all of my adhesive on all of them if I have a whole bunch in the same area. If I know that my image is not going to slide on me. And this one, I'm going to use some big dimensionals. So let's put one here. And I had a little tiny little chunk that came out because I was using scrap paper. And I'm hoping that what I'm going to do is use my Ferny flower to cover up that little chunk that was taken out. And nobody is going to be the wiser except for you guys because I just told you. Let's put this away. Here's our card. I'm going to put that right there, just like that. And then I'm going to put this Ferny flower right over top of my chunk so nobody sees it. Ta-da! Look at how easy that was. And isn't that a pretty color? And isn't that an elegant card for somebody? I think it's beautiful. So card number 1 is done. Let's move on to card number 2. Card number 2, I did a little bit of prep work ahead. This is similar to what I did last week, but last week my panel was narrower. And if anybody wants to know why this particular piece of designer paper is 2 1/4 inches, it's because I cut a strip that was 1 1/4 inches. And I decided it was too narrow. So I decided, okay, that left to me, let's see, 1 1/4 inches. That left me 4 3/4 inches, 4.5, something like that. Anyway, it left me 4.5 inches, and I ended up dividing that in half, which left me 2 1/4, which means my white strip here is 2.5 inches. Designer paper, 2 1/4 inches by 5 inches. The strip is 2 3/4 inches by 5 inches. This matte layer, which I already embossed, 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches. So 5 inches is the general rule here. Do I have my take your pick tool? I don't, but I do have a handy dandy poker here. I just wanted to get a few of these little scraps out yet that were still in there after I die cut it. That doesn't look bad. I don't have to be crazy about all of them, but they're pretty much cleaned out. So let's put this cover back on, put this back with my tools, and let's get to work on this card. It's the same one. I'm once again going to stamp this beautiful label. And like I said, this is one of the dies that's part of Nature's Prints. So beautiful. It embosses the edge and it cuts it. So you're going to want the stamp set or the dies just for that. And like I said, beautiful scripty font. So pretty. Okay, what I'm going to do is stamp my sentiment again. Let me stand up so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to trust the line of the block and hope for the best, because you know what? I can't see with the white. White on white just doesn't work. So I'm going to have to go like this. And hopefully, well, not terrible. Could have been worse, could have been better. But I think for the most part, not terrible. So I'm going to take it. It's at least straight. I wish it didn't have that little line there, but it does, and we'll have to deal with it. I have here, like I said, this strip is 5 inches long. So I'm going to just take my paper cutter. I always keep my guide on the right side because I'm right-handed. And I'm just going to cut off that little excess piece. So this is 2 1/4 inches. So this means this is 2.5 inches. Okay. Move that out of the way. And I'm going to center that right there on my basic white piece. This is another one of the patterns. It's another ferny green color. Isn't that so pretty? It actually has pretty much the ferny flowers that I just used on the last card. So it's not strictly a fern, but it has the ferny flowers. I'm telling you, I should get an A for official language, right? Okay, I've already embossed this. This, again, is embossed with a beautiful fern folder. It's a 3D embossing folder, so it gives nice, deep impressions. And I'm going to attach this right in the center. So let me use my glue and attach that. I said that I like to... I'm thinking if I'm doing this right. I am. Okay. Sorry, I was just looking at my other card saying, oh, did I forget to, you know how you, all of a sudden you stick something down and then you realize that that was where you were supposed to tie the ribbon and you forgot? Well, we're not going to do that, but it would be close. Okay, this is what I'm going to do before I forget. Let's tie the ribbon, and I'm going to tie a bow again. So if you're coming in person to the class, you're getting this roll of ribbon for free. And in case anybody is wondering, I went looking through the catalog, thought that it was retired, so I had to change my mind. And then I heard from one of my demonstrator friends that it was actually available online, which made my day. It wasn't for this class, it was for another class. But so even though it's not in the catalog, you can get this ribbon online only. So they can't fit everything in their catalog. They have so much. And isn't it so cool that we now get all of these additional options of things that we can purchase that we never could before? Oh boy, I have an extra. That's probably for another, who knows? That might be for something else. I'm not going to go too far. That could be for another one of my cards. I don't think so, because I think that was the last of the ones that I embossed for now. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to attach it now to my basic white layer, which is 4 by 5 1/4 inches. I better not get a tickle because I know where I left my water, and it's not exactly close by. It's on the stairs. I'm going upstairs. So, okay, I've already stamped my sentiment. I've already die cut my wreath. This is another one that you can easily add all kinds of the mini dimensionals to it, and they won't show. You can just pick a spot where it just feels like there's a little bit more design. So see how the fern or that leaf is a little bit thicker. So I don't think the dimensional is going to show. If it were to show, it's going to be okay though, because I'm going to put my label over top too. So I'll just probably try to put my label right where those dimensionals might be a little bit more obvious. We'll see. I think somebody is going to love that I popped this up, and it's super easy to do that. Okay, so I've added a few here. I think what I want to do is, how am I going to do this? I think, yeah, let's just kind of do it like that. I'm just going to stick this down and hope for the best. Not bad. Isn't that so pretty? So this is the textured white shimmer paper. This was in last catalog, in the last mini catalog, and it carried over. And in fact, you can see it even better in this catalog than you could in the mini catalog the last time. I'm going to, again, pop up my sentiment with dimensionals. I can use my large dimensionals for that. Right in the center of my wreath, I was going to do the cottage wreaths. Did you know that the cottage wreaths didn't retire either? So that'll probably be something that I might do again. I don't know. My anniversary is in October, and there's also a Halloween stamp, and there's also Christmas. So it's very possible that I will use cottage wreaths closer to October. There we go. And all I have to do is attach this to the inside. No, to the outside, to the front. Sorry. I was just thinking, okay, I've got a piece of basic white cardstock. I have to stamp the inside. Well, we can do that too. I always stamp before I attach because I don't know about you, but luckily there are two sides to a cardstock, because if there weren't, I'd be making a mess. I think what I'm going to do again is, because this is now one of the flowers that you see there, I think I'm going to again stamp it with my Lost Lagoon, and I'm going to be much more intentional about how much, oh my goodness, there's still so much ink on there, and I'm hardly inking it up. But I'm just going to put this down here in the side, and I can write any message I want inside. So there we go. Let's clean this off before I make a mess of everything. I really don't understand. It must be just such a super, super wet ink pad. I'm not going to close it completely because I actually have to do one more stamp later. So let's just attach this to the inside. I think I meant to do that on my other card too, but I think I didn't put a basic white layer in there so that I could. So there we go. What do you think? Beautiful, huh? So pretty. And, you know, if you don't like the way you did it and you want to move it with dimensionals, you can carefully lift them up and usually move them and straighten it out. Just like that. There you go. So this is card number 2, and all I did was stamp the sentiment, the inside fern, and everything else was die cut or embossed already, as it will be for you for your card class. Okay, card number 2 is done. Let me move that there. Card number 3, I don't know, this fold was done by Judy this morning on her Facebook Live, and I loved it, and I needed something different, so that's what we're going to do here. Let's see. Let me see how this works. I've got 2 different Lost Lagoon designer papers patterns. So I'm going to use the flowers at the bottom. And luckily, it doesn't really matter which direction I'm putting it on. Let me tell you that this cardstock piece is 4 1/4 inches by 8 1/2 inches. So it ends up, when I score it at 3 inches on the long side, it's going to end up being a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece of cardstock. So there you go. It's going to go up and down like this. And I love this plain pattern. It's really, really pretty. Making sure I'm still in. You know, it's so funny. I always stamp standing up. But for some reason, when I'm doing my Facebook Live, I can't stand. I get out of breath. Crazy, isn't it? So I'm sitting. So hopefully I'm in camera for you. I'll show you the cards at the end again, and I'll stand up and make sure that you still see them. But what I'm going to do is attach this 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of cardstock, or designer paper, I should say. This is one of the beautiful Inked Botanicals designer papers. We're going to attach that to the inside. Now I have this pattern, and this is a nice floral pattern. I was thinking that I was going to emboss or something, and I decided not to because it's just a little bit too much work. But you could certainly emboss your whatever your piece is, your sentiment or whatever, or your image. I'm going to center that just like that on the bottom. There you go. Now I have, so this, oh, I should have said, this is actually Pool Party. And I feel like Pool Party, actually, it looks like it really, really matches really well. But Lost Lagoon also did, so, and Pretty Peacock did. So there's lots of greens and blue options. I have here a 3 inch by 8 inch piece of cardstock that I scored in half on the long side at 4 inches. So it's going to end up being 3 inches by 4 inches when I finish. What I'm going to do is attach that right in the center of my designer paper, just like that. I can totally center it. So let's do that first. I'm going to put that right here. Just like that. I'm going to center it. Beautiful. And then what I wanted to do, I embossed another, which is right side, which is wrong side. Hard to say. I think this is the right side. I embossed a piece of basic white cardstock. This is 2 3/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches because don't forget, my size of my paper here is 3 by 4. So let me attach that to the front. And then I have a couple of other things to do. So what I want to do is attach that here. I'm going to center that on the front. And then I'm going to set this aside for a second because I have 2 things to stamp yet. And then I have one more thing to show you. Okay, so I have here a piece of basic white cardstock, and I am going to stamp that with the large ferny, I don't know what kind of flower this is, but I love the leaves. I just think it's so beautiful. Probably one of my favorite stamps. I'm going to try not to ink it up too much. I'm putting it. This one is a little bit more raised, so I don't think it's quite so bad. There we have that. Beautiful. And the other thing that I want to do is stamp the inside. So what I did was best wishes and happy thoughts, and I used another stamp. This is the flower stamp that's part of Nature's Thoughts. And I thought, because of the flowers at the bottom here, this flower might match really nicely on that. So what I'm going to do is move this for a second. I'm going to stamp my flower right in the corner, just like that. Perfect. And I think I'm done with the Lost Lagoon ink now. I don't think I'm going to need it anymore today. So let me close that up nicely so it doesn't get anywhere. I'm going to clean my stamp, and I'm going to clean my stamp because the last thing I want to do is lay my card on top of it and get it all ruined after I've worked so hard at it. Okay, so that's that. And once again, we are going to use Tuxedo Black Memento. And the reason I stuck with Memento, I have to tell you, is because with this being a felt pad, I get a much crisper, cleaner stamp with it. So it ends up, when I'm stamping my sentiment, I really, there we go. Just like that. Perfect. And I'm going to attach that to the inside. So I have that here. I'm just going to attach that right here to the inside, and I still use my best wishes and happy thoughts. Right? Love it. And hopefully that's straight. It seems straight, but you know, it almost seems a little crooked. Ugh. Oh well. Okay, what I'm going to do is set this aside for a second and take out my Boho Blue Mini Boss again. And we are going to hopefully be able to fit this large die in. I need my plates, sorry. I'm distracted because I need my plates. Hopefully I'm going to be able to fit the large die within this. Oh yeah, no problem. No problem at all. So let me line that up just like that. I really try to make sure, first of all, I start by getting the stem in line, and then I line up the top, and then I bring it down if I have to. I don't know if that makes sense, but if your stem is lined up, you're usually pretty good. Let's attach that just like that and hope for the best. And then I have one more thing that I wanted to show you. So I added a couple of little flowers to the side yet. And these flowers were actually dies that were part of the Nature's print, right? Just like that. Oh, don't go anywhere. I am using the center of my wreath. This is my white center, the textured white center. And I'm going to take, oh, careful, careful. Gotta be careful. This one, look, it's so sticky that it's actually ripping my paper. You don't want, that's like washi tape. You don't want Post-its that are that sticky. You want them to stick, but, and look at how beautiful it die cut. Just perfect. You want them to stick, but you don't want it to rip your paper. I'm using the scrap of the textured white, and I've got a couple of dies here, and they're gonna fit nicely right here in the middle. I've got two of them, a big one and a small one. I'm just gonna just effectively use my scrap rather than wasting it. You know, I did that with the snowman. I think there was the snowman die this past winter, and I ended up using the center of that die cut for a lot of scrap paper because it was a nice size. You know, don't throw away your scraps. I have a nice box. I think I can put this away now. I have a nice box on top by my die cutting machine, and it's full of white and vanilla scraps. And I just can go right to that. And yeah, I'm gonna need to poke this out because it's stuck this time. But that's why they put those little holes in the dies, so you can actually poke it. And now I can throw that away because there's not a whole lot left anymore. Okay. Let's see. Put my cover on. Ta-da, ta-da. And sorry, I'm trying to be organized at the same time because, you know, that's so not me, right? so not me. What I'm going to do is, just like in my card that has now disappeared. Oh, here it is. Oh, I've got something else that I wanted to show you. I decided that the white ribbon was just a tiny bit too, it didn't show up very well. So what I'm going to do is take a length of my ribbon, and it doesn't have to be long. And I have in here everything's okay, Mom. That's what my kids always said when things fell, and I was worried about what was happening. Everything's okay, Mom. Then you always know, okay, let's go check it out. I'm just going to take my blends and just color this ribbon just a tiny bit. I don't have to be crazy about it, just a tiny bit. I want it to be, I want to color it over something, because let me tell you, if you color that on a piece of wood, dining room table or anything, that color, it's not going to come out, especially on the wood. Ask me how I know. Poor my sister sanded down and revarnished her table because of it. And what I'm going to do is just do a quick knot here. Nothing fancy, just a quick knot. And hopefully I've got enough ribbon there. I think I do. And I'm just going to cut that right there. And that's just going to go over the edge of my stem. So let me get rid of this. And what I'm going to do is add some dimensionals. You guys know how this works, but here we go again, adding dimensionals. I love it when the backs come off. Some of my dimensionals, if they've been hanging around for a long time, I find that the paper has almost melted on them, and it's a little bit more difficult to remove them. But these are nice, fresh dimensionals, and I love that. Okay, what I'm going to do is attach that here, just like that. Then I'm going to take a little bit of glue, and just a couple of dabs will do ya. I don't want too much. I don't want it to be looking like a kindergarten project. I'm just going to add a couple of dots, just like that, to my leaves. I'll do one there. I'm going to do it over top, because otherwise I kind of feel like it might get lost in the paper, the basic white paper. So let me do that again. Get nice and full of glue. And then I have my glue dots, and that's going to effectively make sure that I keep my glue dots wound up with ribbon. That's going to make sure with this glue dot, it's going to kind of it's going to cover up the stem and make it look perfect, just like that. So here we go. Best wishes and happy thoughts. Card number 3, and you've got your fancy fold card. With the card class that you get in the mail, you will get a tutorial, just to let you know. You'll always get a tutorial. Nothing I love better than writing tutorials. Just kidding. But that's part of the deal. So, okay. Card number 4, this one is easy. This one's a little bit different because this one is Pool Party, and I've done the die cutting and everything ahead. So I have here, I think it's actually 3 inches. It's 3 inches, but I think it's by 4.5 inches this time. It is. I did it a little bit longer because my die cut is a little bit longer. So I wanted the designer paper to peek out. So it's 3 inches by 4.5 inches on the designer paper. Now, pay attention to the detail, because my card is actually on the landscape position this time. I have to make sure that I cut it down vertically so that my ferns are going to stay upright. Does that make sense? That's a lot of it. Glue, but This is a petal pink, just a 1/4 inch larger length and width. So it is going to be 4 3/4 inches by 3 1/4 inches. So 3 by 4.5 inches designer paper, 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. There's an 1.5 inch difference between length and width. I'm going to tie more of my white organdy ribbon, and now you know why it's going to be a product-based class, because we use a lot of the designer paper, and you're going to love it, this designer paper, and we use a lot of this organdy ribbon. And by using this, now you are going to have an extra roll of this ribbon for whatever you need. I'm going to tie this into a bow again real quick. I hope you're joining me. Please let me know where you're joining from. I know that I've had a couple people from Connecticut. I know that I have had a couple people from North Carolina watching. I'd love to know where you're watching me from, and tell me about your weather. Here today, we don't have the smoke from the wildfires from Newfoundland anymore, from Canada. So it seems like the weather is better, but it's warm today. My AC has kicked on quite a bit today. But I don't need that down here in my basement because it's nice and cool with the cement and being underground. So I've die cut another wreath, and you're going to notice that this is out of the Pool Party cardstock. It has a few more pieces remaining in it than the textured white paper did. It was a lot easier to poke that out, but this is really super easy. So don't worry, Shirley. When you're helping me prep for the class, it's really not a big deal. And you guys, when you come to the class, can even easily poke this out. So there we go. I was kind of doing that off camera, but not for any reason except that I wanted my little Chads to be off camera. Okay, let me put my cover back on there like that. Put this away. I'm going to, now that my white ribbon is attached around my layer, I decided that I was going to stick with white for my base. You know, everything is white rather than vanilla. Even though this kind of looks like what this color actually looks like is not really vanilla. And if you look really carefully, you can see that there's little white streaks in here. So it's very easy to stick with the basic white for my label. But to me, the color of this actually looks like Barely Banana. How many people were around years and years ago when Barely Banana was a yellow color? Lighter, much lighter than So Saffron. And I think I posted yesterday on my Facebook page that I celebrated 15 years in April. So I've been through a few color changes, and they're always a lot of work. And I say, how am I going to do this? And then I end up loving the colors. So it's worth it to have the color changes when we do. What's that? Bubble Bath. That pink color is probably my favorite color, pink. I thought I was never, ever going to get over losing Pink Pirouette about 5 years ago. Okay, so I'm just putting a couple of mini dimensionals on here, just like I did with my textured white shimmer paper wreath. Looks like we need one more in this area right over here. And I'm going to just pop this up however you want to do it. I'm going to do it kind of like that, just like that. And because my white ribbon is running right down through the middle of it, I have my Nested Essential label. I think I was talking about this before. This is like a long and narrow tailored tag. Do you remember tailored tag from years ago? The punch, I really loved that punch, but it's really hard sometimes because not only are stamps wide, but they are also long. So it was hard to find the perfect die for this, but I think this works. And if all goes well, I'm going to be able to stamp it right perfectly. I'm going to make sure I don't rock it. You know, it's a little high. I wish it wasn't so high, but I'm going to still put it on here so that you can see what I'm doing. And then I'll have to come up with something. I might end up flipping it. I don't know. But for now, I'm going to attach it. Let's do our dimensionals. Oh my, running out of dimensionals. Okay, here's another sheet of big ones. I wish it wasn't so stamped so high, but that's okay. We're going to do this. We're going to put it right across the middle. And now you have 5 cards, perfect for weddings, engagements, anniversaries, or whatever, bridal showers. So let me show you the cards again. We've got this one, which is the only one in Pool Party. We've got this one, which is our fancy fold, Best Wishes and Happy Thoughts. I love that fancy fold. Then we have this one, which used our textured white shimmer paper for our wreath. And I love the panel. That also could have been a long, narrow panel. I didn't think about that. And then this is our 4th card. Sorry, dogs are barking. Somebody else is walking by with dogs. They sit at the top of the stairs and just wait for people to walk by. That is their life. Now, the only thing I haven't done on here is added any kind of embellishment. And I'm thinking maybe the iridescent rhinestones. So I may have to go back and do that later, and that will be included in your card kit as well. Not a whole package, but enough to make your cards. But hope you love these cards. Okay, I'm going to flip back and say, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you love these cards. I'm also going to post this to YouTube. I will see you guys soon. I'm going to reply to all your comments. So please like the video, share the video, make comments, because I promise I go back and I read every single one of them. Have a great evening, guys. Bye.